Guys, this is Toddie1Skip. Welcome to my podcast. This is Issues with Toddie1Skip, and this is Issues with Time. That has to do with things like bad behavior and what we call that today and how we penalize it today. Welcome. So, years ago when people laughed at jokes that we find totally offensive and out of bounds today. So, I listened to a story, I've listened to a few stories about Russell Brand, and I wasn't a big fan of his. I knew who he was. I didn't mind watching him. I've seen a couple movies he's in. He's out there. Definitely a fascinating figure to watch. He's very animated, very intelligent, has the gift of gab, just very much so. But so years ago, I guess he was getting a massage, right? And he was undressed, getting his massage, and then he exposed himself at the end and asked the masseuse if they would finish him off. And he said, can you finish me off? But he admitted this, like in an interview. At the time, when I guess that wasn't illegal, and it wasn't, that's indecent exposure, regardless. Why wasn't that picked up at the time? It was still indecent exposure. The laws haven't changed. It's the way that we've looked at things that has changed. How can something come back and get you years later? This is being used, this interview, and this one little thing. I mean, there's a lot of little things that the guy has said that's being used now to build a case against him, right? So he's paying, listen, I guess what I'm saying here is, first of all, I'm really confused because a guy in my country admitted to grabbing women and just going and kissing them, and he becomes elected president, where the guy listening to him with the nervous laugh loses his job. So I really can't understand how Russell Brand is going to be, when we laughed at the joke, why didn't the police pick it up then? That's indecent exposure. That was still against the law, right? But no, we heard about that and we laughed at it. And now we say, no, that's not funny. But it was supposedly funny at the time that the guy did it, and we all laughed. And because of his behavior and craziness and all of that, he was invited on a lot of late night shows, interviews. That behavior is what gave him his part of what made him famous. That's his brand, for lack of a better word, right? His nonchalant, I don't care type sway. I watched him just the other night. He was they showed a little snippet of him going into a show. He was doing a show. It was after the allegations. I think it was probably the last show he's done so far. And he still had that little sway about him, that way that he walks. He still seems ineffective. And, I never read his book. What is it? Wookiee something? I might have it, though, now that I think about it. I really liked the title, but I thought it was clever. And, I like a lot of play on words. I thought that John Lennon, his books were very clever and entertaining. And so I was going to see about Russell Brand's book. But somebody read an excerpt of him not being kind to his dog. And I thought, why did he put that in there? At some point in time, people read that book and thought, that's funny. That's funny. Because trust me, if he didn't think that would be funny for people, he wouldn't have put it in his book. But it wasn't after like endorsing his behavior, approving his behavior, for laughing at his behavior, paying to see him, to hear jokes, to laugh at his behavior, to now say, this guy's a psychopath and he should be penalized, and look at his behavior. He definitely needs to get in trouble for this. Yeah, if he committed a crime, he needs to get in trouble for it. But he committed some of these crimes before and didn't get in any trouble for it. So I'm trying to figure out, like, where are we safe? Where are we safe? We should always behave, yes? But attitudes, jokes, senses of humor seem to change over the course of time. I was watching All in the Family the other day. I thought it was one of the most brilliant sitcoms out there. And they used the N-word in it. And I was taken aback. I would have liked to have seen a picture of myself, because I dropped my jaw. And I thought, why was that okay? When was that okay? And of course we progress over time, you'd like to think, and we do the right thing, but something, I'm not saying that we need to be grandfathered in, but attitudes and behaviors and personalities, when I say personalities, I don't mean, us ourselves. I mean people that we like, those personalities. They change over the course of time, and their jokes represent the times, right? Trust me, I don't think that anybody would be making jokes now the way that they were making jokes in the 70s and 80s about women or about minorities. Is that okay? No, okay, so we've grown and realized that's not funny anymore. That's not funny, and it shouldn't have been funny. And we've learned that, that's bad behavior, and we need to be penalized for that. Okay, but back in the 70s and 80s and before, not so much. You can't grab things back in the past like that and come after people unless they in fact did commit crimes. You know what I'm saying? They have to have definitely committed crimes. It can't be a bad joke. Hey guys, so what do you think? This is Issues with Toddie1Skip. I want to know what you're thinking. Please tell me in your comments. Like, follow, subscribe. Show me some love. And all your hugs and kisses too.